Mr. Alakesh Roy. Dada, if you are ready, please go ahead.
Yeah. Can I share the
Dada,
screen? Can you
Dada.
see my screen?
Yes, Dada. Yes,
Can
Dada.
you see my screen? Okay.
Yes.
I think good evening to all of you. And Nitin ji has in fact made my whole narrative a little easier. Basically, what I was trying to cover is what he has absolutely said, that we have to go for cost saving through design. I think he's telling about cost saving designs, but there is nothing as cost saving design. You'll have to save cost through design. So that is what we are the champions of. And let me introduce Zamil. Zamil is an entity based out of, there's a holding company is based out of Saudi Arabia, Dammam, and we are spread from Europe to Australia and from Japan to Africa. This particular highlighted portion, the green highlighted portion, is which I manage from Japan to Africa, East Africa, and India, and Vietnam, Southeast Asia, Australia. And of late, we have also started supplies to this USA, North America, where there is an interesting shift which has happened due to the several climate changes and environmental requirements. I can say that all the water-cooled towers are now getting replaced by air-cooled towers, and there is a huge consumption of steel happening over there. So we are supplying from Vietnam to those countries and also to Europe. Having said that, the opportunities, having said that, let me also say that all along this discussion today, we have been only focusing on the supply side, and I can tell you that the supply side push is not enough to increase the demand of the steel. Before this session began, I was having a chat with Mr. Mukherjee, that we'll have to look towards the demand and how to put the demand in the same or even a higher span. Obviously, the steel consumption in India is quite low. It has to go up, but then steel consumption will not happen as it is without having a purpose towards such consumptions. So we all know that steel can give you lightweight design, long span solution, flexible repurposed solution, architecturally exposed structures, and the speed. Speed is obviously the essence in a steel construction, and this is one of the buildings which we have done in Saudi Arabia, one of the architectural delights. Now, when I say that, and also since the concept is that there will be a new normal, obviously the new normal will not be a linear one, and it will not be the same way what it was earlier. And also what we foresee is that new normal will be far less dependent on people and interdependence on each other. So everyone will have to be Atmanirbhar. So that is what Mr. Modi is saying for India will also be true for any companies, any institutions, any corporations all over. So we cannot, there will be collaborations, but will be more and more self-reliant. Now, when I say this, we as Zamil, what we have tried to do on the demand side is we have tried to align both our suppliers as well as customers towards the technical requirements. Why I say this? We are the only company who has actually trying to meet all the codal design and production requirement in an integrated way. We are being the pioneer. We have designed our own technical data sheets, and that is why you see that we have got a thickness range of each and every millimeter. See, in order to do that, we have to also condense the tolerance values. Although the IS is quite liberal in the tolerance values, our technical data requirements are much stringent, and our suppliers are actually following that. And we have moved across the grade in terms of IS, like 250 was the flavor for every construction. I think around 20 years back, we have moved to 350. Now we are at 450 and then moving to 480 and 550. Now, having said that, we have also set a benchmark that YS is no longer defined by a minimum value. YS is now defined for us by a minimum value and also as a maximum value. Why we do that, I'll explain later on. So we have got a dual certification, IS and STM, both has to be met because we cannot differentiate between two steels, which is going where, and then we cannot every time take a stock of that. And what we have done is we have as a standard given certain protective coatings for all our secondaries, that is 275 GSM, plus we give all SMP coating on the roofing, and also the default grade for all our coils is 550. That is basically to take the longevity of the building and the strength of the building high. On the customer side, what we have done is our offerings are well matched with the total compliance of all codal requirements to offer complete optimized solution. And why I'm saying that is simply because if you go through all the standards that India has, they're all average standards. Like if you have got the wind speed will be average wind speed, say maximum up to 180. Now, no one would have visualized that one certain Amphan will come at a 220 kilometer, 200 kilometer, and the building has to be designed. So what happens to building that we designed earlier when the codal requirements are less? That is why we as a company always take a stand that whatever are the codal requirement, we'll give something extra. Be it the rainfall. The rainfall is typically defined in India as the average rainfall for a 1 hour period. But today that average rainfall for a 1 hour period doesn't hold good, because there is a gust of rain for a 5 minute, and you might see a 150 millimeter average rainfall for the full 1 hour, but the 5 minutes it can be 100 millimeter. So our roof design and the gutter design has to suit that. So these are the kind of things that we have been actually upgrading ours and the industry in particular. And we also give one particular comfort to the customer that we are also in progress with the changes they make while they do the building, because no project can be visualized in completion at the beginning. So we give that comfort to the customer. So our product and offering is tailored from the supply side to the demand side and the customer requirement to the expectation from our end to the steel mills. So what we have done differently is typically what was done in the site earlier, that we have converted into a factory kind of a solution. And these are the kind of structures now are getting fabricated in the factory and shipped to the site. 12-meter length, and then this is a 70-meter span. This is for the automotive testing research facility near Chennai, and this is the crash test area where we have built it. Now we are supplying to the maximum possible length which is possible, that is 12 meters, and then joining at the site. Now these are for the shopping malls in Cambodia. Earlier all these were being done at the site and the fabrication was done at the site. So if you think of the new normal era, this will become more and more rampant to be fabricated at a production location and then shipping it to the site, because you will have much lesser requirement of manpower at the site in such case. This is one typical thing which I'd like to highlight, that typically we are now integrating all forms of sections in a single structure, be it a pipe, tube, be it a hot rolled bar, or be it a plate by which. And this kind of structures earlier used to be bolted. Now we are basically welding it, and the grades are matching. And that is where we are trying to control each and every input criteria of all this plate along with all these tubes, so that the customer gets a better product at the end of the day. And the design optimization, if you see through this process, is much higher. In fact, this building, if you compare to a traditional building, we could have saved more than 30% of the weight in the total building. And this is being done for Siemens, for Power Grid Corporation. This is a typical substation that distribution setup which PGCL had done in the last 3 or 4 years. These are the kind of structures which is for refineries. Now these are, earlier it used to be all bolted and used to go unassembled and then assembly at the site. Now we are giving them welded so that they go in a modular fashion and they can use it directly over there. Now this is one area where we have successfully converted the 3D space frame into a 2D tubular structure. And this is for a coal shed near Raipur. And we have actually done it and proven to the world that this space frame is actually a costlier technology than a simple tubular structure. And you can see the differential section thickness and the diameter thickness of the tubes being utilized in the building. And today, when we go to the market, we say that the customers doesn't need columns and rafters, they need a space which is covered. So you can give a space up to 90 meters. Accordingly, we have given for the C70 hangars, we have done the 3 hangars in Hindon. So all done by us, and then we have used the 74-meter clear span building at a 34-meter height. Now, when people talk about additive manufacturing, it is only the 3D and all the concepts are there. What we have done is that we earlier used to give clips and all these processes loose and to be bolted. Now what has happened is now we have started welding it, and what it has done to the system is we are now getting a situation where this is going along with the main column and the touch points at the side are limited. So this is one area where this is for a rails wheels factory. We are doing huge projects for RVNL. We have done the coach factory at the south near Satara and all those things. So, and this star cruciform column, earlier the design was a bolted connection. We have changed it to welded connection. and we could say, and we have replaced the UCUB, and we could save 30% of the weight, and also that cross movement is allowed over here. This is for the base stiffening, and we have been able to save on weight. So that is what Nitinji was asking, that how can design save on weight? You have got a built-up frame. If you would have made it in a straight format, the weight increase would have been at least 30 to 40%. Now we are designing, the elemental analysis of design is going into, and we have been giving a differential thickness as well as sections so that the weight is optimized to the fullest, and the building is absolutely designed to a load factor of near 1. The same thing with the rafter. So all the things, clips and hanging loads are connected to the rafter, so that if your person needs a clear span building, then he gets a clear span building and the loads are hanging from the top. This is something which we have taken as a task for ourselves, that we will erect our buildings as we detail it. And this is a typical building which was refused, or every possible company in India refused this kind of a structure to be made and erected. We got in, and this is a French multinational which has come to India for a pharmaceutical company, and this is the design by them, and we have detailed it and actually executed at the site, and this has come out so well that now this has become a site that everyone is coming and visiting, and it is made of tube as well as plate in combination. So you can now imagine that what kind of technical close tolerances has to be there between all the commodities that the steel mills are coming out with, and we have to marry them in order to give an optimized solution. Same thing over here. I have already shown you the photograph of the structure for the NATRIP, that is the Automotive Testing Research. This is the final building which has come up, and this is the crash test area. And for this design, we have got the Bentley Award. Bentley gives, they publish a book where they are awarding globally the designs which are state of the art and beyond the current limitations of the design syndrome. So we got an award. We generally get around 2 to 4 awards every year for our design capability. This is something which was again a challenge for us. There's a German pump manufacturing facility which we built. The architect was quite fussy. So this is not a, this is something which has been done for the first time by a pre-engineered concept, and it is a sinusoidal roof. And when we started detailing this, we thought that it will be a huge challenge while we are erecting, and we could devise some tools to make the building look exactly as it was rendered. And this is the view from the outside, and this is the view from the inside. So absolutely what the architect would have thought of, we have delivered the building. This is the coal shed which I was talking about. This is a clear span, and you can see this photo, the aerial photo. This particular gray area is what was done by the Chinese firm through the 3D space frame, and we have converted the remaining into tubular 2D structures and erected it on site. This was basically supplied in 12-meter arc spans, assembled at the site and lifted. So we could lift 2 or 3 frames every day, and we could finish the job quite fast. This is something we have done in Philippines. People generally think that these are the structures which generally are site fabricated. These are all fabricated in Ho Chi Minh factory of ours, and we sent to the site. And Philippines, today in India, we are talking about wind speed and wind norms. Philippines is a country where the minimum requirement of wind is 200 kilometers per hour. We generally design for 220, 230 kilometers per hour. There is a high wind, and also typically there is a high seismic zone as well. So we have done this kind of structures. We have done the airport project in Cambodia. This is one recent iconic structure that we have done in Hanoi city. Basically, the architect came up and the consultant came up with a pagoda design for a structure. Every company would have refused it, and they have actually done so, because the whole concept from the architectural view to the actual erection is something that was unthinkable even if it. Basically, this is a bamboo structure which has been replicated through steel tubes. We have been able to fabricate this in a Norway factory and erected in at the site. And if you go to the website of F1 Circuit in Hanoi, you can see this structure, which has become an iconic landmark of Hanoi today. Also, we have been doing this kind of viewing decks for the F1 Circuit, so which is actually a gallery with a room and all the amenities in it. So these are the kind of structures we are doing it. And also, if you look at from our perspective, Zamil has always been looking forward to the next practices which are there to offer. So all our buildings, whatever we have designed since ages, has got extra collateral load built into the whole thing. That is why any building today, whomsoever is talking about, even he has erected the building 10 years back, is ready to be fitted with the solar panels. And to prove that, we have done in our own plant the solar panel fitment with no extra stiffening of the building. And that is the maximum was allowed was 1 megawatt. We have done that. Now, how we have evolved as a brand. If you look at the earlier days, a typical PEB company or any fabrication unit was a supply only organization. We have moved from a supply to a service kind of a situation. And my philosophy is that in the future, no product in isolation will exist if you cannot back up with the service. It will be a combination of product and service which the customer will buy. So what was a pleasure to do business in the beginning of 2000 has moved to a total solution provider. Then we had got a little more bold. So we started defining the quality of what was prevalent, and we challenged each and every aspect of the quality. And then now we are saying that we are a step beyond, all towards delivering the dreams of the customer. Now, having said that, let me also say we are working closely with JSPL and also Tata Steel, the Kalinganagar facility. We have been partnering with them for all these technological movements and successfully done so that the industry benefits at the end of the day. It is not that we are doing something for ourselves, but we are doing for the industry. We have done many bridges, we have done many girder projects, we have done many projects which are iconic in nature. Some photographs cannot be shown because of there is an agreement between the customer and us that we cannot share the photographs. But I would like you to visit our website, follow us on Twitter, LinkedIn, everywhere. And also we are globally accredited with FM, and also we are a part of the green bending culture. Thank you, Mr. Mukherjee. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Roy. So do we have